asked this field in the question a lot. And these were some of the answers I got all the way up until this one that I love. I have them log into a school email. They never even had an email. I have them create one, or they came in with baby cakes 299 at hotmail.com. And they could not see about baby cakes.
Check.
Going through and talking about being able to, thank you so much. Going through and talking to them about communication. How are you currently communicating with your class? Yes, excellent, thank you. How are you communicating with your class? Some of them had to download and set up WhatsApp so that they did have that landing place for their class to communicate and weren't always relying on cell phone plans that sometimes would go unpaid and depended on Wi-Fi in order to communicate. These are just Virginia problems. I'm not talking about anywhere else. Other examples are right here and things that you've already discussed, heard, or talked about, but even this one I really love. I've set up a typing.com account in the past and helped them learn to even work a keyboard. Essential Education offers courses that you've probably already seen. Some of these look a little familiar, such as North Star, Open Classroom, and those things, but we offer a course, and our Computer Essential course is actually based on that IC3 certification. Has anyone ever heard of that? Very good. I won't dive into clicking on this, but again, this resource, this slide deck will be available for you to click in and go through and be able to see. But basically, let me move this out of the way so you are able to see that. IC3 stands for that Internet and Computing Core, and it includes those 3 specific categories for competencies: computing fundamentals, that's that hardware and that software, key applications, and then this one. What I personally feel, I'm on my soapbox a little bit, is the most important: living online. Because how are you teaching your learners? What they post today on what they think is their private social media affects their chances for employment 10 years from now. So exploring our courses, I want to go take you through those 3 specific areas and showcase exactly what that would look like. We're going to go from the student view. Let's make sure I've reset everything.
Welcome to Computer Essentials. My name is Leonard.
And sorry to everyone there that's in the chat thinking I'm moving too fast in Zoom. That's like, we're not seeing any of this stuff yet. But you're able to see, as soon as we get logged in, these 3 very separate categories: computing fundamentals, key applications and information, and living online. Students are able to choose from those 3 areas. If you're unfamiliar with how Essential Education works, don't worry, we have a separate chat for that. You'll be able to find Charlie and go through that, but it's very similar to how our other platform works in that students can go in and pick and choose what they feel they need, or students can go in, take a survey, and we'll tell them what they need. I know, and I've gotten a little pushback on, well,
welcome to Computer Essentials. You've taken a first step to improve your computer skills.
Students can go ahead and take that option to take the
now it's time to take a checkup,
or they can just
so you'll
skip
need
it
to
and get started. And I've heard before, students choosing what they want to learn, they can just go in. Right, absolutely, because we serve a population of students who traditionally have been disenfranchised and they don't have a lot of choices a lot of the times. So giving them that ability is something that's simple to choose. Why don't you pick what you want to start learning first? It empowers learners just that small action. And they're also able to see, and our system is able to recognize if they do have any of those learning gaps. It's designed to remedy that. What you're able to see, especially with this computing fundamentals and how it works and goes through, the mastery there are those computer skills overview, getting started, and basic using computers. What I want to show you though, and that's here on the side, we're going to zoom in very intentionally. And scroll down. These badges that are appearing here, these are still those 3 separate categories: computing fundamentals, key applications information, and living online. What I want to showcase is exactly what our digital literacy dives into. It's stuff like using computers, navigating, understanding computers, understanding the internet. But then as you move forward, you'll be able to see the same way we have those levels of skill mastery inside of our academic academies. Here we are. We move forward from software, hardware basics into finding information, organizing the information, interpreting and showing, and even someone said it out there when I asked about it, about collaboration online, already picking some of those employability skills and tying them into how we exist digitally. One of the reasons I am a big advocate of our computer essentials, as you already heard me talk about our living online, talking about that privacy and security and technology risk, is this. We live in today's age where education and learning, as always, is changing, but we really have now started to deviate from that memorization. It's now into skill mastery. Students always have information at their fingertips now. There's almost little to no need to sit there and try to memorize this and assess, memorize this and assess. Instead, if we're able to help our students understand, we're no longer looking for content memorization. Instead, we're looking for competent skills and skills mastery. If we can help our students learn to learn, they can learn anything. And diving into our computer essentials course, that's exactly what it is. It's not just about content, it's about the skills of how are you using the information you're finding? How did you get that information? Is it a reliable source? And then tying it directly into how are you using that technology to get a job, maintain your job. And once you're finished, as you can see, all those badges, they do have that final assessment. I have to scroll back up. And then they will earn that certificate showing them that they are certified in a computer essentials through Essential Education. This is linked to Credly. I won't go into the depths and details of explaining to Credly and how our badging works. I will tell you that most people, as soon as they see those badges, they start nodding, because how powerful is it that I show up to an interview and I have this portfolio, even a digital portfolio, because it is 2025, and I'm able to show them I have evidence that I'm able to use technology for a job search, and here's my badge to say so. Any questions about living online, computer essentials, or digital literacy in today's world? Yes, ma'am. So they are not technically what you're thinking of as an IRC, an industry recognized credential, but that's because there is no IRC that exists for example, technology using a job search. So this is going to be about the closest you can get. And what I will say about Credly, although it's not industry recognized, there are a lot of industries that are super familiar with Credly because they are one of the few digital badging that you're not just paying for a badge. You're actually having to demonstrate that you have mastery, not just completion. It's not just clicking through. You have to demonstrate that you have mastery in order to get it. Laura's going to chime in a little bit more. You got to come on the mic though.
So the other thing I want to say about Credly is once a student earns a badge and they click to claim that badge, it is going to give them language to then advocate for the skills that they have mastered in a way that's going to be recognized by a hiring committee, by their supervisor. And that's truly empowering for our students as well.
You know, you can stand up here, Laura. You know that, right? So now that we transition and we go into that second area that we know, financial literacy. And this is a question I always like to ask, and it gets a little testy in the room because folks don't like to talk about money. They don't like to talk about their wallet. Can you believe that? But I always like to know, in your early learning, was credit discussed? Did they talk to you about credit and credit cards? And there's always a follow-up question to this. And if so, in your household or in your worldview, was credit viewed as a positive or negative? I'm going to give you 90 seconds for that just because people don't like to talk about it. You'll feel it's going to get a little quieter in here all of a sudden on this question. I'll give you about 90 seconds for that, and then we're going to go straight into that second question for discussion. So in your early learning, was credit discussed? And if so, was it a positive or negative? In your small group, go ahead and just discuss that for 90 seconds. This workplace ready, because we found that, like, so for example, actually maintain them. So they weren't hitting those long terms. They could get the job, but then this is a real example because they were using their work phone for personal calls because their actual phone had gotten cut off because they weren't paying the bills. All of the ties together. How are you actually teaching integrity and preparing students for the workforce? About 30 seconds. Now I want you to go nicely into that next question. I actually don't call you out on that first one. What are financial goals that your students have? How do you support them? Go straight into that next question. What are financial goals that your students have and how do you support them? Especially in thinking of terms of their career, how do you support them? That's a tough one. It got real quiet. Feel free to talk it out or I can talk it through with you. Nice. Very good. One thing that I used to always do with my students, and this was especially specifically with their financial goals. We used to actually have a chart and there's a document I still have at my desk, and it made them map out what is your current reality versus what is your expected reality. Because a lot of students would walk in the door and they would say, yeah, I'm going to come here. I'm going to get my GED in about 3 weeks. And 3 weeks after that, I'm going to be a 6-figure earner. TikTok taught me, right? So, and I would love it. I always tell them, I love the fact that you have 100% confidence, but the skills, they might be a little lower than 100%. So we would actually talk through the steps of what is it going to take to get you from your current reality, where you're earning, what you have, into your expected reality. Owning your own home or being in an apartment, hearing last night at the gala smoking, or hearing about that young lady who was able to move into a smoke-free building for her health. That to me, huge financial goal. Moving into a safe place and being able to actually stay in this safe place. Maybe the goal is, I don't want my kids to have to keep moving every 3 months because of my eviction notices. To support these goals, Essential Education has built out Money Essentials. This is a course I feel like I don't give enough time to. And even in our session today, we're going to breeze through a little quickly than the other courses, but it's because it's such a very good, straightforward, online self-paced course. It takes your learners through budgets, loans, that's why I highlighted it there, credit, and as well as financial goals. One of the big things that I learned from this Essential Education course was diving into the credit. I'm going to tell on myself, I intentionally didn't ask anyone to share just in case it was a little bit too private for large group. Credit was seen as a very bad thing in my household. Don't you get that credit card. Don't you dare go out and get that credit card. You're going to end up drowning in credit card debt. That all sounded good until I graduated college and wanted to go for a first apartment and I failed a credit check. You know what's worse than bad credit?
So for me, all I started was absolutely mind-blowing situation because here, for me, when I came here, it is very bad thing. Like it's not good. And then yes, so many of our students who are immigrants, they have no idea, like what you said, like of course I know it now. Yeah. But like for our students still, they don't know this. They kind of like learn it hard way.
Absolutely.
So this is kind of like great to know about this.
Absolutely. And I was even talking here in the front because I actually had a situation separate than what I told them. I had a learner who, for a job, because of the level of the job and type of the job, they ran a LexisNexis report. Do you know what's on the LexisNexis report? Your credit. He was not offered the position because his credit was not great, because they saw it as, if you are at risk with your own finances, why would we entrust you with the finances of our clients? So this course, and although, like I said, we're going to go through it fairly quickly, and I do feel like it doesn't get the love it deserves sometimes. I'm actually going to show you this one from the back end, this teacher in. They're all back in there. Yay. The lessons that you go through are not only powerful, but they're empowering. And the reason I can say that with confidence is because we all know knowledge is power, and you'll be able to see throughout these very specific lessons that we have here, reading a budget, creating and following a budget, calculating a budget, because I don't know about you all, but one of the steps that people miss, if they want to go make this budget, they'll go make this budget, and some of them, they might even stick to it. But where they fail is they don't ever actually come back to it and write in their actual expense. You can budget and say, this is what it was, but did you go back that following month and go, I said it was this, I allotted this money, but I actually spent this. And then evaluate, wait, where did that overage come from? Or that extra that I didn't spend, where did it end up going and why is it in my bank account? Diving into one of the ones that are near and dear to my heart, because in Virginia, they're now illegal, thankfully, payday loans. How many of you have had students who, they feel like they're starting 10 steps behind already. They're not even motivated to learn or get a job because they know they're in so much debt, they might not see their paycheck. Going through some of these lessons, you'll be able to see it's the things that we tend to, by human nature, shy away from, or even feel like we don't have the knowledge to teach someone else. That's where this comes into play. And I will absolutely tell you that financial literacy is a part of being work ready. We're going to segue very nicely if there's no other questions or it become, oh, I'm sorry. Let me just give you. No, don't. Discussion.
Again, I'm from immigrant community. What level of English fluency is this course require?
What level of English fluency does this course require?
Intermediate, yeah. Do you operate beginners because this is the most vulnerable population?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So in here, we also offer, and if you all want to come, I have a session tomorrow, but also look at Charlie's session. We also offer academic products as well. And our academic products start at pre-literacy with MindPlay. That means utterances, there's a speech pathologist built in, all of that. And they all go hand in hand, and it's just one login. So absolutely, our system goes to pre-literacy. And at the end of this session, you're actually going to get a catalog. I've already pre-folded it to the page for these courses, but feel free to peruse through and look at all of the courses.
And or standard for writer standing that up to 20 language and for skills that